Welcome to the Circle of M. I am your host, Marcus Smith II. This is a podcast that is where we unmask the feelings that cause anxiety and depression. This podcast is sponsored by All Points North, APN. They've been gracious to us to be able to have the space, open the space for others to be able to be open about who they are, where they've been, and where they're going. Man, I have a great guest with me today. This is actually a brother of mine. We were actually here together. We got to learn so much about each other, but also at the same time learning so much about ourselves and being the men that we are today. We are fathers. I'm calling my guy one of the greatest fathers. I have my good friend Zac Stacy with us today. What's up, bro? How you feeling?
Man, I like to start with I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm alive. I made it to the other side, which is the next day. So, but I appreciate you having me, bro.
Oh yeah, bro. This is something this is a space where it's freeing, for one, and then also this is a space that is very open. So I always want to give that to the guests, and I always want to give that to you to let you know that I'm here with you in any way, shape, form, or possible. That's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
Football brothers. Obviously, you played in the NFL. You played for a while. You know what I mean? We all have. But first, we had the first segment. And we're gonna start it off with the cards again. Let me get these cards. This should be a, good conversation. You feel me?
It always is.
Pick that first.
All right.
So the card itself, or turn around the back of it, read what the back say.
Back of it says love.
Okay.
Love.
And it has like little words. Do you feel any of those words right now?
Yeah. The biggest one, of all of them is connected.
Yeah.
Connected, I'm also looking at admiration. I'm also looking at warmth. You know what I'm saying? So, anytime I come back, the APN, those are it's crazy. These were the perfect words.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just that connection, that warmth, and just that admiration. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how all these kind of fall under love. I didn't even think about it like that, but
that's what the cards for. It's like, man,
it kind of is. You already opening up doors, bro.
Yeah.
There you go. So, but yeah, it's love for me has always kind of been. My excuse, and particularly with the women, has always been I'm emotionally delayed. I don't know what love is. So,
yeah.
But over time, just with the growth of, my emotional wellness and mental health, love is key.
Yeah.
Love is key to any, towards your growth, towards personal freedom. So
yeah,
it's very touching, and it's very right on point. That, that this was the card we went with today.
Yeah, so. It's I always say, love is the recipe. Right. When you look at us playing the game, we love the game, right? We look at our moms, the people who birth us. We love our moms, and that love that they have for us is so unconditional.
Yeah, I was about to say that, unconditional.
Because that's how we learn unconditional love. I think is a perfect place to be. So another part of the icebreaker, if you will, let me get my notes out. You know what I'm saying? If you could instantly learn any skill, what would it be?
Oh man, being in Florida, the skill I wish I had was bilingual, being able to speak Spanish.
Oh yeah,
being able to speak Spanish.
Because probably it's super diverse down there.
It's diverse somewhat because I'm in like the armpit of Florida, Orlando. So
okay.
Me personally, I've never been a person. Is that where you want to go vacation? I'm not gonna say Florida. I might say Colorado before I say Florida. But I think at the end of the day, I'm down there, for my son, ZJ. But it's a lot of it's very diverse or whatever. There's been situations where I had no idea what some communities were saying. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect or nothing like that. But but being able to that skill set of being bilingual, learning Spanish, that will help out a lot.
I mean, for me, as far as a skill, I always wanted to learn how to play piano.
I think you mentioned that to me before.
Yeah.
You still on the piano train,
bro? I ain't got no lessons, no nothing. I just be, when I see people play it, I'm like, bro, that's like a skill that I would love to have. Even play the drums. Like I play the drums a little bit, but if you watch somebody in church or you watch somebody at a concert playing the drums, like, it's fascinating to me.
Those skill sets, those are the best ones. Those are the ones that come within. Kind of like with the, mental health and emotional wellness.
Yeah.
Like a lot of skill sets have to come within, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Playing the piano, like you said, just having, wanting to have that hobby or that skill set, that's like the art, the creativity side of things, you know what I'm saying, from that dynamic. So, but yeah, I definitely think, just like with the piano, you know what I'm saying, it's a skill that's learned within, very relatable to what we going through.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. When you talk about within, like that leads us into, our next question with you. I feel like, our perspective on mental health was so much different before we came, right? Before we stepped foot in here, meeting Tammy, Laura, like, all of these great, amazing individuals who can help us deal with ourselves. How has your mental health changed over the years, even talking about little stuff that you went through over the years, kind of compared to where you are now?
For sure, man. It's like this journey for me, I want to say it may have started back in 2018, you know what I'm saying? And even back then, one of the things that I didn't have, we're talking about skill sets, I didn't have awareness of it, you know what I'm saying? I think you can attest to this, mental health, the emotional wellness stuff, it's not really talked about in the black community, you know what I'm saying? It was just simply unrecognizable, growing up, And I think
from the South too.
From the South, yeah. It's just, I'm from the South, and I grew up 25 minutes from Bryant-Denny Stadium, so all my family knows is Roll Tide and the Lord's Supper. So
my uncle gonna love you saying that.
For sure. But, at the end of the day, the perspective of mental health and emotional, wellness, just from my experience, because I know one thing I learned, everybody's journey is different, man.
Right.
The destination's the same, everybody's route is different. So it really took a lot of, no different than me, learning how to, drop step on the counter, learning how to read holes.
Yeah.
3-man fronts, 4-man fronts.
I seen you do that, so I know.
Yeah. I say that because it's the same type of process, with mental health as it relates to football. It's a lot of skill set that has to be learned. And that's one of the things that, as far as my perspective, therapy for me was always okay. One-on-one therapy with the therapist or something like that, and as far as that navigation. But I often, it's always funny, I always kind of write down a lot of revelations that I went through as far as discovering that, again, you're going to need skill sets to go by this whole thing efficiently. So, and I think that's really what the perspective was. I think the perspective was just really having to have that mindset of like, okay, I really have to, we talked about this earlier, have to radically accept a lot of things along with, the awareness with that. I kind of, it's almost like I'm a baseball guy.
Yeah.
And, most guys who get drafted, unless you're a pitcher or whatnot, you typically go through, the minor leagues, AA, AAA.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same type of, mindset I had with, this mental health journey. I started at the AA, which is acceptance and awareness. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of had to master that before I can really like dive into that. And, obviously along with the help of, the therapists I had along the way with, Miss Tammy, with Elle, and all the other advocates that's, been in my circle throughout this, it's definitely something that you gotta, I'm not going to say you got to just learn instantly, but it's a little bit of trial and error there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a little bit of trial and error. So it's a lot of aspect of like, my mental health and emotional wellness journey specifically that we can get into.
Yeah.
But I can just, I cannot start without, having that skill set of awareness and having the skill set of, accepting, radically accepting stuff. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's, when you think about it, that's kind of the first part is acceptance. Just like you said, I remember when I was here, or when I had my little spill in Seattle,
right?
it wasn't until like I was on the ledge, God allowed me to come back off the ledge and get the help, right? It wasn't until then I accepted like, all right, I got an issue. I need to address this issue. I don't believe in burying people in the saying. We often talk about that. I don't believe in, we all have faults. We all have things that we go through. I don't believe in somebody can't see that light at the end of the tunnel. Because people in general were trying to bury, I feel like, who you were as a person. Like, how did you get through those tough moments? Because I remember coming to your door, knocking on your door, making sure that you was good, and you would let us know, like, yeah, bro, I'm good. I'm just, processing, working out, and trying to be a better you.
It's, God, man, I look back at the turmoil that I went through, man. It was just, what's crazy, Mark, is as emotionally, and mentally draining, and it was such a battle within.
Yeah.
It's so much good that came from this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, I think the biggest thing is it goes back to that acceptance and awareness,
Yeah.
As far as, my actions that pursued or whatnot, the crazy thing about it wasn't about nobody else but me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Obviously with, what happened with, in the media and everything like that, it was just, how I dealt with it. I just, you just kind of had to block out the noise, you know what I'm saying? Because it was, it was bad from the beginning, obviously, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, this because, I came back here, a little, maybe like a couple of weeks after the incident happened.
Yeah.
But as it relates to the incident, it's one of those things where you really just kind of had to accept a lot of things. And I talked about this with you guys before. It's like the turmoil of, we can talk about, the character piece, the reputation piece. I think that's pretty much, irrelevant.
Yeah.
It was just more so of just, the losses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it was losing time with my son, precious moments. I never got to enjoy any of his first Thanksgiving, his first Christmas, his first New Year's, his first birthday. I didn't get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of the cherry on top, along with the communities that I lost. Excuse me. Along with the opportunities that I lost.
Yeah.
And really the biggest thing too was having that ability to accept that the communities that I lost too.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It's all good, bro. This is a safe space, bro.
Yeah, because I had communities that were, was like near and dear to me. The Down syndrome community.
Yeah.
The Vanderbilt community, and to be able to lose those things that kind of helped shape, where I was at that moment in time before everything happened. It was tough. So,
yeah.
Excuse me. But I think just the positive things, what I'm saying, like we talked about, I gained so much from it, Marcus.
Yeah. Man, look at you though, bro.
Yeah.
You look good, man, and it's good to see you, for one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what did you gain from it? What did you learn from it? The positives out of it.
Another thing you had to accept was, this situation kind of weeded out the imposters. You kind of saw who was in your corner and who wasn't.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people who I thought was in my corner. Turned out wasn't,
Yeah.
And that was a good thing because it allowed me to, get the people who I didn't need out of my life. I start 50-50 custody with my son next month. That's another silver lining. Excuse me. And really just to have that, the silver lining of being in this space of like, okay, regardless of what happened, regardless of what I went through, the consequences that I had to endure, like, look where my feet at. You know what I'm saying?
Speak.
I think, being able to come out on the other side, and you mentioned, looking at the other side of the tunnel, when you're in it, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? Because, I was on bond release, from the situation for like almost a year and a half.
Yeah.
When I tell you that was like some of the most confusing, troubling, like, let me put it this way. When you don't have control over your life,
yeah,
that's a shitty place to be in. You know what I'm saying? Like I was, for almost 2 years, I was basically a puppet.
Yeah.
Whether it was from lawyers, it was from attorneys, or, wherever the case may be, it was just, it was so exhausting being a puppet. But one of the things that I always like to commend to with my situation, and just the growth, man. The growth I got from that is just how I manage, my emotional wellness, my mental health. Did a whole 360. You know what I'm saying? A whole 360 turn. So, because a lot of it is processing, a lot of it is, what we learn, just being in these groups, just the CTFR.
Yeah.
Writing it down and stuff like that. So I think this situation really sharpened my skills, bro.
Yeah.
And that's like the biggest silver lining towards, my personal freedom and towards my personal growth too.
Yeah, bro. Man, I appreciate you for sharing that. And I appreciate you, being honest about where you were and the things that you went through.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you are open.
This is being at APN, that's one of the safest spaces I can be.
Yeah. So you feel that. You feel when you come in the building, it's like, oh man, the chains have been broken.
Of course.
Yeah.
And, being able to, God blessing you to allow me to have this space with you guys. And I think, it's been such a, I mentioned to you this, mentioned you earlier or whatnot, but you can't have a testimonial without a test.
Yeah.
Lord knows I've been tested the last 2 years, man.
Yeah.
So, but to be in the space where I'm in now, to say, just like I mentioned before, like as far as my action, it had nothing to do with nobody but me.
Yeah.
Which is why this always is going to be relatable, because when you're not emotionally and mentally equipped to handle people, certain situations, whether they're toxic or not, my situation can be a result of that. And that's really all it was. As bad as it was, I was not mentally and emotionally equipped to handle that.
Yeah.
And it's a sense of pride of me took a long time to say that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of men won't admit that.
Yeah.
So obviously we can talk about the accountability piece, but once I, recognized and had the effective awareness of, hey, that had nothing to do with nobody else but me.
Yeah.
I just kind of propelled towards growth, whether it was 5%, more growth or 10% more growth.
Yeah.
It was such a relief to be able to say that, because in my situation, it was easy to point fingers.
Yeah.
To this day, nobody really knows what happens, and quite frankly, nobody, it's irrelevant at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
pointing fingers, that's what we do a lot of times when we don't understand ourselves.
Blaming, yeah.
And I did that too. Now my situation was different.
Of course.
But I blame football. I had this conversation with Tammy. Let me say Dr. Tammy, because she's Dr. Tammy.
Yeah, she big time now.
Yeah, she big time. But we oftentimes do that. We blame everything around us except ourselves. And then, first we have to kind of accept and apologize for our actions on what we did, but then reel it back and be like, all right, I'm not going to let this kill me.
Of course.
I'm going to allow this to make me stronger. And because of that, now you have, you had a trial, but now you have wisdom from what you went through.
Of course.
And then you have advice that you can give to someone who may be going through the same thing, or what not to do. So that's like my next question, right? I want to roll into my next question, which is, what advice would you give to someone struggling with mental health, or someone struggling with the same position that you have may have been through?
I can only go by just my experience.
Yeah.
But I think, when it comes to when you're in that deep depression, when you're going through a mental state that's just simply unhealthy. For me, regardless if I utilize them or not, I think having a support system is very, very important because, for the record, I'm a lone wolf.
Yeah.
I'm probably the most introverted person in the world. And I went through a lot of this turmoil by myself.
Yeah.
But once I began to realize the solitude, my grandma Lula, who passed a couple years ago, one of the things she used to always say was, idle mind is a dangerous place.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous place. So
rest in peace, man.
For sure.
Sorry
for sure.
to hear that.
No, it's all good, bro. She lived a healthy, long life. She left when she was like 93. I think when she was.
Can I get the 93, baby?
Yes. So she
Come
was.
on.
Man, she was the GOAT. But as I think the support system is really, really what's needed, and it's so hard to say that because when you're in it, when you're in that space of just breakdowns and just constantly battles in your head.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is the support system that I had the unfortunate support system of you guys and Miss Tammy and stuff like that, because that's another thing I realized too, man. It's you'd be surprised of how many people or the amount of people that go through similar stuff that we've been through, but another big word I like to use, a lot of people don't have that opportunity to get the help that they need, bro.
Yeah.
Because, just like we talked about earlier, it's like, guys have lives that people have, children to take care of. People have, got to pay bills and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's always important to really, if you have an opportunity to get help, regardless of, what sacrifice may come with that, because for me, one of the biggest mistakes that I did, even though it was coming from the purest intention, was putting my mental health and my emotional wellness on the shelf for my son.
Yeah.
As noble as that sound, it's not the way to go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
it's kind of like got to be.
I think you have to, because when you think about it, if and particularly when it relates to my son, it's like, how can I be the best father if I'm not the healthiest? You know what I'm saying?
Speak, bro.
And it's like, and and just as it relates to my situation, that's exactly what it was. When my son was born, as precious as that moment should be, as memorable as that moment should be, I was probably the most unhealthiest ever.
Yeah.
When my son was born.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say I didn't take the steps to kind of balance it out, because I did. But it's my biggest. It's crazy. I had this conversation with somebody about this the other day. It's just, like I said, as selfish as it sounds, bro, when it comes to this journey of mental health and emotional wellness, there has to be a sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? If I could go back in time, we all wish we had a rewind, but I would have stayed in tune of sharpening my skills and skill sets, when he came into this world. And, because my focus
but
was
you didn't know them skill sets, though, yet.
Exactly. It's not even the weirdest thing. My son was born basically after I left APN after 30 days. My first time. And
so you was like, that was your first time of getting back into the real world, kind of figuring it out.
My whole, it's crazy. When it comes to me, Zachary Latrell Stacy Sr., anytime I make plans, God laugh.
Yeah.
So my plan was, okay, I'm about to have a kid. Let's go to APN, learn how to set boundaries, learn how to communicate well. And even with that, trying to set boundaries, trying to communicate, even though it may be as the most effective way possible. There's some people who just still might not get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That might not still understand that boundaries is, it's basically a sense of what I need and what we need as far as a compromise. So, and that's one of the hardest things I had to kind of deal with, man. It's like, especially when my son was born, and that's part of the reason why I'm not gonna say I gave up on, my wellness journey. It's like, then what's the hell? If I can't apply these, skills in the real world, then what's the point? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No different, just even with, just with my, sentencing with the judge, is, putting every documentation of my mental health journey in front of a judge just for him to dismiss it, I was like, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point of continually trying to better myself when it's just going to be disregarded? That's the biggest slippery slope when it comes to mental health.
So you talk about your mental health, right? You talk about what you went through, all the things that you endured, the stuff that you learned, right? So even in that process of learning and going through that, right, we also talked a little bit about even when you were sitting in the jail cell, you was not with everybody. For 6 months, you was in solitary confinement.
I was in solitary confinement for 6 months.
So when you even think about that, like, come on, like you're in a box,
of course,
for 6 months with your thoughts.
So I mean that was more.
What was that like, bro? Honestly,
I think that was more dangerous than being in the general population. To be honest, you know what I'm saying. But again, it goes back to the lone wolf, my personality. It was cool. It worked out.
Yeah,
worked out well. I had my own cell, had my own toilet, all that good stuff. But
yeah,
it's there was a study that I read while in there. Even if you spend just 10 days in solitary confinement,
yeah,
it messes up all type of what's the doctor term to use when it comes to the brain, I guess, just neurons and all they get affected or somewhat. I guess that's the political correct term, but at the end of the day, I felt the effects.
Yeah,
when I got out of jail, bro, my social skills were diminished.
I remember, bro. We talked maybe a couple times, but I know your mind and body.
It was a process, bro.
Yeah,
it was a really process. But at the end of the day, it's being in that cell, it allowed me to reorganize. I think that's part of what mental health is. It's basically reorganization. You know what I'm saying? Along with the help of books that I was able to get, because I mean, it was just pretty much in my cell was just books and books and Pop-Tarts. So so I had to, I really indulged in the literature. A lot of growth books. Wrote down a lot of stuff. So it wasn't, as far as being in there, once you get a routine, it was all good. But it definitely still, sort of sucked.
Yeah.
Having to spend 6 months in solitary confinement. But, it was just a glorified or unglorified time out for me, what I'm saying? So, and I'm just, thankful I was able to really take that time to, reset. Because that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, one thing that I learned from Tammy and Laura, also understanding, like, what about the person, right? We all have faults. We have all done things we're not proud of,
for sure.
Right? But society likes to not give second chances, if you will, right?
It's hard to, when you're on a pedestal we've been on,
right?
It's hard to make a mistake.
Yeah,
it's very hard to make a mistake.
And if you do, it's like you're under a microscope,
of course,
and they're gonna try to, end you. But this why this podcast is so important, because we are peeling back the layers. You guys are getting to see who Zac Stacy really is, who the true person is, right? Not about what we did or how we did it or some of our faults, but that's what it's truly about, peeling back the layer and understanding, like, the man, the father, how you are spending time with your son, bro. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to do that, saying how you get 50-50 custody, and you still get to be in his life and, help him understand and, give him the wisdom,
of course,
and knowledge.
That's why, I mean, it's only thing I talked about, losing communities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Despite the losses that I did have, the only thing I do have now to stand on is fatherhood. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I basically indulged in, that role, because, there's somewhat, somewhat of making up to do or whatnot, as far as, just the time missed with them. But I really just, you talked about peeling back the layers and stuff like that, and that's always important.
Yeah.
But I think, for me, was also big was just the accountability.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, a lot of people told me they would have been worried if I wasn't remorseful for what I did. You know what I'm saying? Which I was. And, like, it affected me so much, bro. I didn't, after the incident happened, I didn't sleep for a month.
Yeah.
Because I was having the same nightmare over and over and over. So, it kind of relates to the layers and as far as like, what we go through. But, I'm not going to necessarily say it's crazy, a funny story, as it relates to my incident. I had someone tell me, I told someone, what I did, it wasn't necessarily unique per se. I'm not saying that as a justification or whatnot, but a wise woman told me, yeah, it's not, it may not be unique, but it's unique for you.
Yeah.
And so that's when that switch came, was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As far as, it had nothing to do with, like I keep reiterating, had nothing to do with anybody else but myself.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm here. I'm this is indulging in myself as far as, the education behind this, man. Because there's a lot of education that need to be poured with this, what I'm saying? Because this is, this mental health journey, the emotional wellness, whatever, however you want to label it, is such a slippery slope, man.
Yeah.
It's such a slippery slope. And I think there's a lot of, one, education that needs to be done with it, and that you guys are doing a great job of, obviously, but it's just a matter of, also just making sure that people understand that, we're human.
Yeah.
We make mistakes, bro.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I'm trying to stay in the space of, the biggest thing of, one, which took a while, was not only forgiving, whatever happened, but there's another piece of forgiving yourself too.
Yeah.
That takes some skill too.
Yeah. And time.
Yeah, and time. Because for the longest time, you can, Miss Tammy, she even preached it to us, that you got to give yourself grace, son.
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't doing that. You know what I'm saying? So I just really feel
That's real, bro.
I just really feel like it definitely, it makes all of this, advocacy worth it. Especially when you experience it and you're able to kind of just give knowledge when you can, man. Because there's a lot of guys in the situation that we're in, men and women. So, and again,
serious.
A lot of guys don't have that opportunity.
Man, I love it. I love it. Let's pivot. So another segment that we have on the show is mental health news. I want to go back to the 2020 Olympics.
Okay.
In the 2020 Olympics, you had Simone Biles. I was just watching this on Netflix. She kind of, she stepped away because it was just overload. It's
good
her anxiety was high.
Good for her,
right? How, like, that resonates with us, right? Was there ever a point in time, right, just off of that thought of walking away? You talking about the mental health news and Olympics. What do you think about that? But also, was there ever a point in time when you was playing, you like, bruh, I don't know if I want to play this year, bro. It's a lot.
Well, first and foremost, good for Simone to be able to say, hey, because, there's a saying, sometimes you stand too close to the elephant.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to take a step back to see the whole picture. So, it's good to see a lot of athletes take that approach. Because think about it. If some, rinky dink off the street, left or something like that because of, nobody, I'm not going to say nobody's not going to give a shit about it, but if it's Simone Biles, who's one of the greatest, gymnasts ever, if she's having struggles in that area, then, for somebody like me, it's like, that's definitely real if she's going through that, what I'm saying? Because as athletes, we're looked at as superheroes, bro. We're untouchable. We're invincible. But that's the most common mistake a lot of fans and peers somewhat have. It's just we have feelings too. We're human. You know what I'm saying? We may go out and score touchdowns. We may go out and win gold medals, but there's a price that comes with it that nobody can feel comfortable talking about. But good for Simone to be able to step away. Also, I forget the girl name who stepped away, who played tennis as well.
Naomi.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
She stepped away as well. So I commend a lot of these athletes to taking that awareness to say, hey, I have some issues that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
And that's another silver lining as it relates to my situation. It's like, okay, there's clearly some emotional issues that I need to harp on. And that's one of the things that, me and Miss T, never navigated. You know what I'm saying? I was so stuck in this anxiety and depression, of that being my foundation, especially just from the effects from ball and what that did to me. Because at the end of the day, I had to retire because I broke my leg 2 seconds before halftime. If that's not mentally, compromising, to have your career end 2 seconds before halftime, you know what I'm saying? So I just say that to say to coincide with just the relation as it comes up now.
Yeah,
it just goes back to the awareness, man. And I just again wish I had that skill set a long time ago. Maybe I would have took a step back from ball, because this, when you're in that bubble, man, ain't nobody thinking of, everybody talk about plan B. You're not thinking about plan B for real.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody thinking about mental health. We thinking about making a squad.
I'm telling you,
keeping food on the table. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a different dynamic when you're in that bubble. So
I always talk about the Kobe mentality. Like a lot of us had the Kobe mentality. Like Kobe in his sport.
Oh yeah,
he focused on ball.
Yes,
that's what he focused on.
I had to learn that. I learned that the hard way, just because I'm a LeBron fan. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really watch Kobe a lot. I was always on LeBron fan, but it's unfortunate that it took me, realizing after he died of how much of a comparator and how fierce he was. Yeah, and it's almost you got to have the same Kobe mentality towards this too. You know what I'm saying? Just that fierce, notion of just wanting to get better, because there's a sense of actions that's required too when it comes to the betterment of your emotional wellness and mental health. So
yeah, bro,
action is definitely required.
So man, I resonate with a lot that you said, and then I know you talked a little bit about the accountability part a while ago, and we want to give you that space and the courage to be on record to say what you feel like you need to say. If that's whether it's apology or whatever, however you want to say it, we want to give you the space to do so, bro.
Of course. It's again, and with this being obviously on record or whatnot, one of the biggest thing that I'm always is gonna hit home first. Yeah, is me. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Obviously, there's a apology that is I can apologize to the hills, to the mother of my child, all of the women that, who are important in my life at that time, which is what I did. Is I'll not only apologize to her, but I apologize to all the women who were in my life, you know what I'm saying, at that particular time. Because at that time, I think they deserved that, you know what I'm saying? Because, the biggest, reaction that I learned from a lot of people was just shocked. You know what I'm saying? They were just kind of shocked. So,
because they felt like, that's not the Zac that I know.
Yeah, right? and that's basically what a lot of people said. That's not the Zac that I know. But for me, it's I can apologize all day, but I really think it's very important to be able to get in the space, because it's one thing to forgive her, like we talked about, or forgive just everything that happened in between that we don't have to talk about. But at the end of the day, is my biggest thing is just I wanted to give myself grace and forgive myself. Yeah, because I mean, it's crazy. Like there's the scum of the earth, Marcus. Yeah, and then there's the shit underneath it. I was underneath that shit for a long time, and it literally felt like I was in mud. It like quicksand or something. Like I couldn't move because I was just stuck in that shit. Yeah, but it was until I had the courage to forgive myself and give myself grace, which allowed me to, open up, not only here, but open up, with, the mother of my child as well. Yeah. Because we've had conversation, as far as like just, apologies and stuff like that.
That's what's up.
Yeah. I mean,
that speaks volumes though.
Yeah. There's no, animosity between us, because, as business like this, co-parenting thing is, at the end of the day, ZJ, our son, is the product, what I'm saying? And we just want to make sure that he's in the best possible situation to be successful. So, and that's what ultimately what it was in the beginning, what it continues, and what always will be. He was the intent. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, and I just, for a lot of people who don't know me, looked at the video and made their opinions about it. That's that's kind of part of it. Yeah. but the people in your circle, they know, they know who you are as a person. You know what I'm saying? As messed up as that mistake was, that misjudgment was, I can't help but to reiterate just how much that said, okay, I have a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have a problem that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I was able to, unfortunately have the awareness from the incident to be the man that I am today. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm happy for you, bro. Honestly. Genuinely.
Yeah, for sure. Because, the situation could have been worse.
Yeah.
I could have, honestly could still be behind bars right now.
Yeah.
15 plus years of what I was looking at. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of, God and, the universe was on my side to be where I am today. And I'm just grateful, bro. The space I'm in now is a space of gratitude. It's a space of peace. It's a place of love. And coming from somebody who didn't display love growing up, you know what I'm saying? I, wasn't really didn't come from an emotional family.
Yeah.
Only saw my mom cry once, you know what I'm saying?
I never really seen my dad cry for real.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
yeah, it's just being emotionally delayed or whatnot is, always kind of been an excuse for me. But being able to have that vulnerability, being able to open up has it's really opened doors for me, man, during my journey. So, and that's just the biggest thing that, I want on record is that, I made a mistake. I fucked up.
Yeah.
But I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm doing, whether it's, provisions from my probation, that's over with, by the way, thank God.
Yeah.
One of my provisions was doing a BIP class, doing all these other provisions. I made sure I took the accountability and just let it hit me in my face. So that way, again, it's one thing to have an action like I did. It's another thing not to be remorseful for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the shame and guilt that I felt for the longest time, it just ate at me. And of course, with the situation, you can't help but to hate the other person.
Yeah.
But when you literally feel that hate in you from the inside to the point where you're literally sick, got dark circles under your eyes, not sleeping because there's like a revenge factor or something, that hatred is just, I had to let that go. And that was another thing that propelled me too.
Yeah.
Getting rid of that hatred, because it just, that wears you down and emotionally and mentally drains you as well. So.
Yeah. Bro, you're here.
Yep.
You are where your feet are.
Yep. Yeah, I learned that from Miss Brandy.
Yeah.
Where my feet are.
Bro, this has been definitely a dope episode, bro.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
And this is what the Circle of M is about. When you think about unmasking mental health, you got to hear Zac's stories. You got to see the true Zac.
For sure.
Who we know to be, right? And we're still growing.
Of course.
Getting better. Your son is growing. How has it been seeing your son grow?
Oh, my God, man. Because my parenting plan, one of the things I wanted to make sure I took care of before I even, because, I wasn't naive. I knew I was going to do time for this.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of how long. So,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, one of the things that I made sure that I, addressed to my attorneys at the time was just, obviously we want as, less jail time as possible.
Yeah.
That's just, lawyer one-on-one when you're defended. But at the end of the day, I just also wanted to get something established. So that way when I get out, I just hit the ground running with my parenting plan. So probably for the past year, I've been having them basically every 2 weeks for the weekend, and it's like every time I pick him up, it's like he gets bigger. You know what I'm saying? So there's a whole I mentioned that I'm starting my 50-50 custody with him. So I basically established 50-50 custody with him before I went in.
Yeah.
So that's about to start up this upcoming month. So, but it's just been a joy, man, watching him grow, and it's just. The mannerisms, it's just a little light skinned me, man.
Yeah.
It's just he does stuff, and I just kind of look at him like I can't even be mad at you, bro.
Man,
I used to
be having them times.
I used to do the same thing. So, but it's just been a joy to, be back in his life and be a foundation for him, because, it's going to be a tough road ahead, because there are conversations that are going to be had down the road.
You're gonna have to have them.
Down the road, and I think I'm equipped and prepared for him. You know what I'm saying? But right now, I'm just putting myself in a position where, regardless of what happened, regardless, you know, what the result was and what was lost or whatnot, I want my son to be able to say, even down the road, if he, you know, when that conversation comes up about what happened, I just want him to be in a place where, well, you know, despite what my dad did, he's the best damn dad in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that's what that's just basically what, you know, where my focus is right now.
Yeah.
Fatherhood.
Let's get it. Fatherhood. Fatherhood. How old is your son?
So he actually just turned 3 last month in June 12th.
Let's go.
So I turned 3. So we're in the process now. We about to start preschool love.
Come on.
You know, it's, you know, being in Florida, it's like, you know, can't help but, you know, you see all these powerhouse high school football schools down there. But me personally, you know, as far as sports, you know, I just want him to navigate however you want to do. If he plays soccer, I wouldn't care. You know
me too. Me too.
If
Same
he plays
way.
soccer, I hope he plays baseball though, because that's where the money is. So, but yeah, I'm just blessed and just grateful and just to be in his life consistently, man. It's to the point now, you know, we do exchanges, and as soon as he sees my truck, he just immediately just starts running to me. And that's the best feeling in the world, man.
Yeah.
Because for a moment there, you know, I did not think I was going to see him,
yeah,
you know, until he was like 20.
God is real.
You know, so he is.
And our sons need us.
Of course.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, Circle of M, you have it. Unmask the feelings that cause anxiety and depression. Make sure you subscribe to APN Network. First and foremost, thank you for the sponsorship. Again, APN. But most importantly, thank you, Zac.
Of course, bro.
For coming to share your testimony.
Of course, bro.
For coming to just give light.
For sure. And I want to personally thank you, bro, for I'm not going to look at it like as far as your transition into this space as a sacrifice, because it wasn't a sacrifice, because there's much more benefit and much more, you know, good that's going to come from it, whether that's from the education, the advocacy. But
yeah,
I really appreciate you having that, you know, fierce advocacy to open up doors for, you know, guys, you know, like myself, man. I just can't thank you guys enough for having me, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
This was awesome dialogue.
Let's do it.
Awesome dialogue.
And this is what it's all about. So, man, make sure you go subscribe. And, man, go watch this episode, man. It can heal you. It can help you heal. And you can learn something from it. But till next time, man, me and Zac, we out.